Hey, what up, everybody? This is steviebreech coming to you. I had some fun today, kicking a little dirt on the Ultimate Warrior, who is one of my buddies, FreakinYaYa88's favorite wrestlers of all time. So he decided to kick some dirt back my way, knowing that one of my favorite wrestlers of all time is Hulk Hogan. From my childhood, I grew up a huge Hulkamaniac. There was nothing that you could throw in his path. And Hogan was my favorite wrestler throughout WCW till he came back. It wasn't till I'm not gonna say I jumped on the Triple H train right around DX time, but it was around 99, 98 when he was getting his first title run, when he was becoming to the main event. That's when I attached myself to Triple H and said, you know what, Triple H is one of the best guys going today, and he is one of my favorites. I was there in 2002 when he won the big Royal Rumble, when he made the face turn, came back WrestleMania 18 and all that. But by that time, I was already on board as he was one of my favorite wrestlers. It wasn't until recently now that Triple H has surpassed Hulk Hogan. I can do this debate back in my mind. What is worth more, him now, or the Hulk Hogan of today, or the Hulk Hogan of then? But Triple H has surpassed what Hulk Hogan was as a child. But I still hold on to Hulk Hogan as one of my favorites of all time. I got the wrestling buddy. What up, brother? I mean, this is just one thing from my childhood that I can't let go. Here's the mini Hulk Hogan right here for you. But basically, I am here to defend everything that he did. Hogan, I can defend almost everything this guy's done in his whole career. Even that Hulk helmet that he wore in the 80s. If you don't know about it, look that up online. It had a big old fist, and he would put it on for some reason, and he would run into people, and that would be the thing that he would use to knock them down if he couldn't do it with the big boot or anything like that. But basically, Hulk Hogan is Hulk Hogan. He is the man of the past, the man of everything. He built WrestleMania. Yeah, Vince McMahon threw the money down, but if it wasn't for having Hulk Hogan on the card, um, those matches wouldn't have sold. I mean, he was the main draw. He had guys with him that worked well, like Piper, King Kong Bundy, Andre the Giant. They were out there, but people paid that money to see Hogan win those matches and be there. Now, was Hogan the match of the night for all those manias? He did main event. I don't count WrestleMania 9. He wrestled in a big tag match. He won the match at the end, but 1 through 8 is all about Hogan. Was he the match of the night on any of those nights? No. But I mean, yes, Steamboat and Savage stole the show at WrestleMania 3, but was anybody gonna be there? Would they have 93,000 fans in the Pontiac Silverdome if it wasn't for Andre and Hogan out there? No. I mean, they could have that match anywhere else in the world. If they wrestled at the small independent show down the street and that match was that good, would anybody know about it? Would anybody care except for the people that saw it? No. Hulk Hogan is who Hulk Hogan is because he filled that arena. You can put 93,000 people on Hulk Hogan's back. That's why that was so big, and that's why what it was. Um, Also, he pointed that at WrestleMania 6, when he passed the torch to the Ultimate Warrior, it was Hulk Hogan who kicked out after the 3 count, like he didn't want to put over Warrior, huge in the ring. If he didn't want to put the Ultimate Warrior over, if he didn't want to pass the torch to him, he wouldn't have gone out there, got the belt, walked it back into the ring. He would have took that 3 count, and he would have just walked to the back like it was nothing else. Vince McMahon, the people that were running the booth, the directors, all those people, they understood what Hulk Hogan was and what was Hulk Hogan to the people. That arena was half and half, 50-50 Hulk Hogan fans. And if it was all about the Warrior and they didn't care about Hogan anymore, they wouldn't have showed so much time of Hulk Hogan walking towards the back. It was a big deal that Hogan lost that match. He'd only lost 2 matches before that in the WWE. One of them was the screwjob finish with Andre the Giant on the main event. Another one was on Saturday night's main event against the Genius. Yeah, the Genius was probably the second guy to only beat Hogan back in the day. But it was a big deal that he lost it. That's why they spent so much time with him going to the back. It was a big deal that Hogan lost that match. And Hogan wasn't leaving. Hogan was, going to take that second supportive role, so they still needed him to look as strong as it was. So it's not a big deal that he kicked out after that. He blamed Hulk Hogan for not wanting to lose to Ric Flair at WrestleMania 8. That is the big dream match of all time. Finally, Ric Flair came over from the NWA, WCW, jumped over into WB. You would think that the dream match, Hogan versus Flair, would happen. The one reason that you can blame that match didn't happen I know on WrestleMania 8 they said that these guys didn't work well together at house shows, and it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. Psycho Sid, Sid Justice, Sid Vicious, whatever you want to call him, his contract when Vince came to him and stole him from WCW at the time and brought him over, he promised him the WrestleMania main event. Now, there was no way that you could build a main event around Sid by himself. So they had to give Sid versus Hogan, and they did Flair versus Macho. They did the best matches that were possible. If Sid wasn't there and Vince wouldn't have promised to him, um, if you watch the RF video shoot interview with Sid, he takes 100% of the blame. He says, "Yeah, Vince came to me. Vince promised me. Vince came to me and even tried to say we're going to go with this." And Vince stood up, and Sid stood up for himself and said, "No, you promised me this, Vince, and this is what you have to stand by your word and have to do it." So that's why you got Hogan versus Sid, and you got Flair versus Macho. You can't blame anybody else. It wasn't that Hogan didn't want to lay down for Flair or anything like that. He said that Hogan didn't want to pin Yokozuna clean. At that point, Yokozuna was a big draw. Hogan was leaving to hopefully take off in Hollywood. He's going to make his TV show, Thunder in Paradise. He wasn't 100% sure that he was leaving WWF forever, but he knew that he was taking a good long break. But he was putting over somebody that, didn't have a huge track record, didn't know what was going to be there. Yokozuna was a slingshot guy, straight to the top. He had beat Virgil in his pay-per-view debut at Survivor Series 1992. He won the 1993 Royal Rumble. He won the WrestleMania main event, WrestleMania 9, against Bret Hart. And really, that was it. Hogan needs to protect his back. I mean, he, laid the groundwork for everything that was out there. He couldn't just walk out there and let anybody in the world, pin him and put them over. He wanted to make sure that there was still a WWF for him to come back to. If they would have put, Barry Horowitz over there, who's going to go see Barry Horowitz? Vince would have ran out of money. He had to make sure that he was, putting over the right person. Um, when they did the title switch at WrestleMania 9, and they put the belt on Hogan in the surprise finish of WrestleMania. The big deal was that they were going to have the dream match of Bret Hart against Hulk Hogan, and that's why they did it. And everybody likes to put the blame on Hulk Hogan that he didn't want to put over Bret Hart, and that's why that match never happened. But if you look at Bret Hart's track record, I'm not saying Bret Hart didn't wrestle matches. Bret Hart's first title reign was more or less a bomb. It was a huge drop off on house shows, on pay-per-views, and on everything else. If you go back and you look through this, um, they had the big Intercontinental title battle at SummerSlam that sold over there in Wembley Stadium. It was a huge draw because of the facts you look at it. It's the first time they had a big show over in the UK, and those people were hungry to see the WWF and see wrestling and anything. Davey Boy Smith was also a big deal, that draw. It is all on Bret Hart's back, how good that match is. Davey Boy, had back issues. It is well talked about in his DVD, in his book, that you can put 100% of that match on Bret Hart, but I don't think you can put 100% of the buy rates or the ticket sales or anything like that out there. And you can see that once, he lost that match with Davey Boy, he got put into that World Heavyweight title match, or World WWF title match with Ric Flair. That match was so bad. You can't 100% put it on Bret Hart, but the match was so bad that the only way you could see that match is if you got a Coliseum home video. They didn't air it on TV or anything. They only aired it at wrestling updates. Surprise! Bret Hart is your new champion. The reason why Bret Hart was picked as the new champion is because a lot of stars were leaving at that point. Vince wanted to move in a new direction of younger guys, and it's well known that Bret Hart became the champion because Bret Hart got the most fan mail at the time. They wanted to put the belt on somebody that got chicks' attentions, the little girls and boys and everything else, and Bret got the most fan mail, so that's where the title went. After after they had the title change, he went on a run of house shows where he wrestled against Papa Shango. Nobody cared about that. He went in the King of the Ring. He won King of the Ring. That was a part of his, thank you for dropping the belt over to Hogan and not making a big old thing about it. With that, he was put into a feud with Jerry Lawler that went into the SummerSlam. If they really wanted to put that belt back on Bret Hart and they wanted to make him the focus of everything, they would have put Bret Hart into that match at SummerSlam. The match against Lawler was pretty much a throwaway match. It was not a big deal. He could have won King of the Ring. He could have went right into a feud with Yoko to go after the belt. Hulk Hogan had already left. He went on a small house show run after King of the Ring, and that was it. Instead, he wrestled Lawler. Lex Luger went into the main event. Lex Luger did well. He didn't win. But it is what it is there. And Bret Hart finally got back into the shot at the next WrestleMania time. So I mean, if Bret Hart would have draw and Hogan thought that he could have made money on there, Hogan would have picked him to be the guy that he was going to put over. But instead, he picked Yokozuna. WWF's always been a big guy place. And Hogan was scared to put it with the little guys because the little guys weren't drawn. That was out there. Bret Hart is 100% a great wrestler, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. As a kid, when he had his Intercontinental title, he wrestled one of my favorite matches of all time at SummerSlam 1991. But he didn't draw, and that's why it is what it is. But that's a few of the arguments that are out there against Hulk Hogan. I will defend him against nearly anything. But if you got anything else, throw it at me, and maybe I can make a part 2.